Yes, yes. Welcome to the ancient world of tabletop games. I am Agamemnon from the historical documentary Time Bandits. This is a report from a fugitive. And so we arrive at Cubicle 7 for 2018's relaunch of Warhammer as a fantasy RPG, reminiscent of this ancient volume. What of the Uber narrative in the meantime? Over in the world of tabletop miniatures, the world was, gone. Games Workshop did away with the setting, cataclysmically. Fear of the end times was justified, it seems. The replacement setting brought much weeping, gnashing of teeth, and burning of miniature armies into the world. Let us draw a grim dark veil upon that grim dark gaming scene. Finally, we have a harsh divorce of RPG setting from wargame continuity. The RPG takes a step back from the edge and gives players the chance to run around in the world of Warhammer once more. We'll start with the box. Still grim and perilous? Says so in red lettering. Punk dwarf? The ginger is strong with this one. Improbably sized weapons reporting for duty. Claustrophobic city streets? Health and safety should have a word about those steps. Red eyes, all present and correct. Conspiratorial doings in the foreground as well as the background. Smoke-filled skies. A woeful tale behind every face. It looks like a level of the computer game Thief. The back of the box is labelled grim and perilous in case that escaped your notice. We're told it's time for a new chapter of unforgettable adventure. Fear not. There are only a few cardboard tokens included with this starter set. Of note is the point that this starter set will teach you the rules as you go. It's a tutorial-style adventure to kick off with. You'll pay £15 to £20 for this box, maybe a little less with discounts and special offers. If you go looking for this, be sure to look for Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay Starter Set, or you'll be staring at all sorts of Warhammer variations until the sun sets and the knives come glinting into the moonlight. When I say Warhammer, I mean the RPG. But there's a tabletop wargaming industry out there and a futuristic sci-fi one as well, so be warned. The RPG side of things is the cheapest entry into the Warhammer universe. Here's something I learned from board game boxes. Search the box. Lift the plastic insert out and see if more game components are stored underneath. In the case of Dungeons & Dragons board games, Castle Ravenloft and so on, this technique accesses a forest of cardboard components. Search the box. For no good reason, I look at the insides of the box. Not what's inside the box, no, not the contents. I look at the cardboard. Cardboard and Contents was an early D&D rip-off that was jam-packed with stand-up character models coated in icing. It had a certain European vogue, and that is a role-playing fact. The inside of the box lid contains a simple Game Master screen. For the simple GM? Not true. It's an awkward piece of kit, but this is a starter set, so we can forgive that. If you really get into the game, the company will oblige you with an official screen of more traditional construction. The other half of the box goes in for a bit of atmospheric world building with a very green map. This game uses percentile dice, though the Q Workshop set provided isn't the most legible I've seen. The game is listed as for 2 to 7 players. I'd have liked to see 7 different sets of D100 in there, driving the cost up, but giving a group of beginners dice enough to get their teeth into. That's a minor quibble. I know this starter set was really aimed at wary Warhammer veterans who'd been hurt before. No need to say where. In the wallet. Speaking of hurt, fear not these cardboard counters. They track a combat advantage mechanism in the game and are colour-coded by player. No raging wall of cardboard here. And then we are into it. Read this first. A component list which will draw your attention to the inside of the box lid if you missed it first time around. What is this game? How the hell do we start it? All starter sets and beginner boxes should have this. Even a how-to guide needs a start to it, after all. And there's a spot of atmosphere on the back of this. It is smoke-laden, naturally. We move on to character portfolios, and there's a hint of Starfinder, with its iconic heroes on the box recreated as pre-generated characters. The thing that jumps out here is the tiny font. If the character sheet is a doorway to adventure, make the font larger and spread the info over both doors. And the other thing that jumps out is character quotations, great for getting novice players into the spirit of things. I had to leave this part floating in the background until I reached Warhammer. Dungeons & Dragons, Pathfinder and Starfinder all follow the same basic RPG structure developed for D&D. Characters have classes and levels. Those games start with first-level characters, and, with few exceptions, a wizard begins as a wizard and continues as a wizard throughout play. Games like Cthulhu and Warhammer take a different approach. Characters have professions, careers. They don't have levels in any D&D sense. Here the pre-generated characters do have wizards and thieves in the ranks, it's true. But here's a merchant, there's a witch hunter. When I played this game, and I'm pretty sure it was reprinted adventure material, I was some sort of dwarf, rat-catching gravedigger type, a grave catcher by day and a rat digger come the night. These sample characters set the tone. The game is grim and perilous. Don't expect to live long, and expect to live in squalor while you do survive. This setting takes medieval elements, marries them to the Renaissance in a shotgun wedding of filth over gold, and spatters what's left with hints of steampunk in the Victorian smoke. Handy card reference sheets are handy. On the back of this one there's a guide to the setting, and then there's this double-sided map for players. The GM has a separate map, which I won't spoil here. That leaves us with the books. Square bound, this is your detailed guide to the setting. They cram a load inside 64 pages using a font I can only describe as 3-point Hobbit. The source book is a backdrop for adventure. A beginner GM doesn't have to know this front to back, but familiarity with the material provides more scope for casually dropping a scene or three into a game. Yes, even into a beginning game. There's a lot to take in. Don't use all of it at once. It's a game, not a history lesson of a fictional setting. The adventure book is stapled. While this leads to accusations of publisher cheapness, a stapled adventure book will sit flatter on the table than a square-bound one will. For novice gamers, this is an unexpected boon when dealing with the tricky business of table management. If you must use that box lid as a screen, weigh it down with an unopened drinks can. I won't spoil the adventure. Bonus points for putting reference material on the back page. The dramatic test table at the bottom clearly twists the knife into the notion of needing specialised dice to generate story-based results. At the distance of a decade, too soon? Ouch. The adventure is a tutorial and introduces game features. This lends a feeling of driving a stake through the heart of the meandering adventure process. It's not exactly a straight-line adventure, but teaching the rules leads the game in that direction. There are follow-up adventures for the GM to expand upon. An experienced GM is more likely to incorporate those into the main adventure. Here and there you'll find page references to the game's core rulebook. That's not a blatant plug for the rules, it's merely a blatant plug for the rules. So who is this box for? Fans of grim and perilous adventure. Veterans? Yes. It's a starter set to lead veteran players into the 4th edition of the game, treating the 3rd edition as a dream by Pam Ewing. 2nd edition emerges from the shower after being killed off and now wears 4th edition's bathrobe. Or something. It's also for beginner players who want to try something new that's old but new, and who needn't fear risk of being swallowed whole by the game's complicated lore or overcomplicated publishing history. All starter sets and beginner boxes can be run by veterans, either veterans of the system being played or hobby veterans who tackle many different systems. Of the sets I've covered in this series, the Warhammer one strikes me as the one that's easiest to run out of the box. And I say that having checked out the D&D Essentials kit, which is in the next video. Here's the thing about starter sets. They are never going to be the easy start a beginner player hopes for. The hobby requires work. No way around that. As an experienced player, I'd choose this Warhammer offering as an introduction to novices, whether run by a novice or a veteran. Why? The price won't cripple you. I picked this starter set up for under £20 with free postage. The main game is doing the rounds for £35. Find out if Grim Peril is for you. I have D&D and Starfinder. Pathfinder and Warhammer rules I don't have, unless you count this venerable tome. I have no plans to buy Pathfinder. Starfinder will do. Perhaps I'll shell out for Warhammer Adventures. That depends on how this incarnation of the game is supported. Check for online resources. Cubicle 7 threw a few free adventures out there. As always, look for bargains, have fun, don't burn your armies. It's a losing battle.